Informal Sector Workers Association leadership. Before we read the press conference today, we would like to do introductions.
My name is Fred from Trans Nzoia County.
I'm Monica, Vihiga County.
Frederick from Nandi County.
I'm John Peter, coordinator.
Lillian from Busia County.
Vincent from Kakamega.
Ali from Oyale.
David from Musea County.
David from Homabay County.
Tom from Mburu.
JB from Nairobi.
And I'm Leonard Mbidi, Deputy Coordinator. The press today concerns a call to African tyrants to stop abductions, detentions, and torture of activists. This is a warning to dictatorial regimes across Africa. The Informal Sector Workers Association of Kenya strongly condemns the abduction, illegal detention, and eventual release of Kenyan activists, Mr. Bob Njagi and Mr. Nicholas Oyoo, by Ugandan military authorities after 38 days in captivity. This act of repression is a grave affront to democratic norms, constitutional protection, and human rights, and the rule of law. It is deplorable that in East Africa and across African continent, authoritarian regimes continue to deploy state violence, extrajudicial detention, intimidation to silence dissidents. Such behavior by Ugandan military authorities is embellishment of the broader pattern of governance by oligarch, kleptocrats, and dictators who create leadership as a private domain and indifferent to citizens whose taxes sustain them. From West Africa to East Africa, leadership should not be preserved to the elite who disregard the people, the workers, the informal sector entrepreneurs, the vendors, transporters, artisans, those who toil daily to pay taxes and sustain the state. Instead, many regimes are determined to retain power, not for the service of their people, but for selfish interests. Jobs, contracts, government tenders are funneled to cronies, families, and friends at taxpayers' expense. While the informal sector, while the majority of African work face insecurity and unemployment and exclusion. Elections in many African countries no longer reflect the genuine wishes of the electorate. They are manipulated by those in authority to perpetuate their role, exploit citizens, oppress dissidents, and ruin economies so that the people are kept poor and powerless. When activism is punished with abductions and detention, informal sector workers suffer first. Livelihoods shrink, businesses close, markets shrink, poverty deepens, and hope evaporates. Options available to citizens. Number 1, civic mobilization and awareness. Informal sector workers association, informal sector workers, civil society organizations, trade unions, and community groups must come together to raise awareness about abuses of power and demand transparency, accountability, and democratic reforms. Number 2, democratic participation and election monitoring. Register to vote, engage in electoral process, insist on independent electoral commissions, monitor elections, challenge manipulated outcomes, and refuse to legitimize fraudulent regimes. Number 3, economic resilience and solidarity. Workers in the informal sector can exercise economic agency, boycott corrupt systems, support ethical enterprises, build cooperatives, share resources, and refuse to accept exclusion and exploitation. Number 4, legal and civil recourse. Use constitutional and human rights frameworks locally, regionally, and internationally to challenge abductions, unlawful detentions, denial of work opportunities, and arbitrary state power. Number 5, international advocacy and media engagement. Informal sector workers and activists must engage with regional and international watchdogs, bring public attention to abuses, and leverage global support to put pressure on repressive regimes. Roles of regional, continental, and global bodies. 1. East African Community must hold member states to account when they violate cross-border human rights, abduct, detain foreign activists, and must apply sanctions or corrective measures where necessary. Number 2, African Union. The African Union should strengthen its human rights oversight mechanisms, ensure that heads of states are accountable for repressions, and support the rights of informal sector workers across the continent. Number 3, United Nations and global development partners. United Nations and global development partners must tie development aid and cooperation to respect for civil liberties, protect activists and workers, and support grassroots organizations in the context of repression. Our demand. Number 1, we demand for a full public apology and compensation by the Ugandan government to Mr. Bob Njagi and Mr. Nicholas Oyoo for their 38 days in captivity. Number 2, we demand an immediate end to extrajudicial abductions and constitutional detentions and threats against activists, workers, and citizens in East African region. Number 4, we demand a commitment from the Kenyan government to protect its nationals abroad and to champion democracy and human rights in the regional diplomacy. Number 5, we demand recognition that informal sector workers who form the backbone of our economy must be included in the national dialogue, development planning, and economic reform processes. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, when leaders rule by fear rather than service, when economies are structured to benefit cronies rather than citizens, when informal sector workers are excluded, oppressed, or ignored, only the powerful gain and everyone else loses. The abductions of activists is not a distant political event. It is a direct assault on livelihood of workers, vendors, artisans, and informal entrepreneurs who wake up every day to contribute to the society. We stand firm with all workers, all citizens, all those who demand dignity, equity, and justice. Africa belongs to its people, not to autocrats, oligarchs, skeptocrats, and dictators. God bless Africa. God protect African people. Thank you, members of the press.
Thank you very much, members of the press. Without going into details, I think the statement has stated it clearly what it needs to be done. And now, as the human rights activists, the Constitution of Kenya stipulates clearly that the state should protect its citizens. And we are now demanding that the state should protect its citizens from wherever they are, be it in Kenya or wherever they are abroad or wherever in each and every country they are. The government should take care and knows that its citizens are safe all over. Thank you.